everyone, this is Brittnee Bond, and welcome back to the podcast. So, I have officially survived Burning Man 2025. I just want to say it was not the easiest burn in the world. It never really is. But we had a pretty tough year when it came to, or challenging, opportunity for growth when it comes to the weather. And also, it was my most favorite burn ever. I've only been to two, it's last year and this year. And I'm very excited to share all of the adventures with you. So many love stories, so much dust in all of the parts. This is like the cleanest I have been in a very long time, and I'm still not very clean. I have dust in places that dust should not be, and I've just kind of accepted it. So, first off, I just want to say that I am surrounded by the most beautiful nature here, 1 hour north of San Francisco, in Sonoma County, at my very dear friend's house with a jacuzzi and a cold plunge and just lots of nature, because nature is so recharging. We are nature. And I've just been doing loads of laundry and cleaning out the RV and just decompressing as much as we can. So I want to start with the journey of the fact that 2 days before Burning Man started, I had already organized to stay in a yurt, which is kind of like, it's like, like this, it looks like a UFO styrofoam thing, and it comes with an AC, but you can stand up inside. It's pretty big. And I was going to rent it from my friend Daniel, my new friend Daniel. Is part of my camp. So I got connected to him through the other camp leads. And my girlfriend, Seema, who I love very dearly from Koh Phangan, we went through lockdown together on the island. She was back in Chicago now because she needs to take care of her family and do stuff out there. And then a new friend of mine, Danny, who I met at one of the last play parties in Berlin. So the three of us, I organized for us to share the yurts. It's super big. You can stand up inside and fit mini beds, and we were just going to vibe in there. And then 2 days before Burning Man started, I got a call from Daniel, the one I was going to rent the yurt from. And he said, I can't fit the yurt on top of, I'm already bringing our art car and RV and a bunch of people's stuff. I just literally cannot physically get out there. So if you guys can come out to my house, which is where I'm at now. So this is all very funny and synchronistically. But at the time I had never met him. I didn't know Daniel. And he was just like, I need someone to come get it. I'm coming from LA and have no way to get out there. I didn't have a car. And Seema is driving 3 days from Chicago with a car full of stuff, and there's no way she could get out. She was trying to arrange for someone to come pick it up. And then Danny was coming all the way from Berlin. And it's Seema and Danny's first burn, so they were super overwhelmed in general, which is normal for being they call it being a virgin at Burning Man. And so again, this is 2 days before I'm supposed to head out there. So this is Monday before Burning Man. I just get violently ill, which happens to me sometimes when I'm pushing myself too much energetically, and my soul and my body are like, you need to slow down and you need to rest. And so I was in bed with a fever. Also, I think it was the solar flares that's going on. If you're tapped into what's happening spiritually, I'm very sensitive to what's happening in the energetic field. And so I was just knocked out for 48 hours while all of this was going down. So it got to the point where Danny, my friend in Berlin, was so stressed out that he just canceled coming to Burning Man in general. He was like, actually, I just don't think synchronistically it's lining up. Seema had arranged to get the actual structure of the yurt picked up by a friend, but then Daniel, who we were going to rent the yurt from, was like, I actually don't have room for the AC and all this other stuff that was going to come in with the yurt. So we were just like, okay, yurt is not happening. So it was like, okay, thank you, but no, we're not going to rent this. And then, I was just surrendered to the universe, and I was like, I know that when I respond positively to whatever is coming into my field, it can serve me. This is my lesson for the year. This is my lesson I relearn over and over again every single year. And so even in my deepest of fever dreams. I was just like, it's going to work out. And so I put it on my Instagram. And I love all of you who follow me on Instagram, my friends, my soul family, my community worldwide. And I was just like, I don't know where I'm going to sleep at Burning Man. Like, of course I can buy a tent. That was totally available. That was kind of like last resort. We were just going to go to Walmart. But I was like, there's got to be a more magical way. And also, I didn't even know how I was getting out to Burning Man yet because my friend I was going to drive with, I needed to leave on Wednesday so I could help my camp build. And my friend that I was going to drive with, he's a DJ, and he had a couple gigs in LA that he needed to do before he came out to Burning Man. So suddenly he wasn't going to drive till Saturday night. And my intuition was like, I need to go sooner. So I didn't have a ride yet. I didn't have a place to sleep. I was in such high fevers to the point where every time I stood up, I needed to sit back down for like a good 15 minutes. I could do like one thing. And I remember, I think Tuesday night, I fell asleep in my bed just crying from like pure exhaustion and overwhelm. And also I felt really proud of myself that like I was just allowing myself to have the full human experience, because sometimes I can do this thing where like I disconnect from my body experience and I go a little too far into my higher self. And I wasn't doing any of that. I was like, I'm here for the journey. I don't know what's happening. I surrender. But also I'm really tired and I'm really sick and I'm overwhelmed. And so I just cried myself to sleep Tuesday night. And then Wednesday morning, I woke up and I was feeling a little bit better. And so I put it on my Instagram. This is what's up. This is the story. And I had a beautiful soul named Phil reach out to me, who I had not met at this point. And he was like, I've been following what you're doing online and, you know, the parties that you organize, the communities that you build. And I really want to support you. I think it's amazing. I think more of what you do should be out in the world. And so I have a bunch of camping gear that I can offer. And I can also bring it to the burn for you. And I was like, oh my God, you're amazing. I was like, and I'm camping with a friend of mine. Do you think it's like a 2-person tent or whatever? And he was like, yeah, I have a 2-person tent. And so Phil ends up bringing all of the camping gear we need, like the tarp, the tents, the stakes. He ends up buying brand new air mattresses for us because the ones that he has in storage, like he was bringing his own RV out and the ones he has in storage were kind of leaking. And he was like, I just want to make sure you girls have what you need, and also pillows. And then he also offered if we needed to crash in his RV at some point, we could, you know, if the dust or the heat got to us. And again, none of this was romantic. He just really wanted to show up. And I was like, wow. And I told Seema, and she's like, I knew you were going to manifest this. You are so good at manifesting things. And I was like, okay, thank you. But I was just so happy it worked out. And then the second thing was I needed a ride out to Burning Man. So through my friends, I found out that there's a bunch of Facebook groups that are like ride shares. I was also in a bunch of WhatsApp groups from like personal friends, but everyone was leaving at times that I didn't want to go, or like it just wasn't syncing up. And so I posted on one of the just Burning Man general like Facebook ride shares, hey, I'm leaving from LA like Wednesday night, Thursday morning, if anyone wants to go. And at that exact same moment after I posted that, I checked the group and someone else, this amazing man named Chuck, wrote into the group at almost the exact same moment as me, hey, I'm landing in LA from Miami. I'm flying in from Miami to LA, picking up the RV, and I want to leave at this time if anyone wants a ride. And it was like the exact same time period that I wanted a ride. So I immediately messaged him and I was like, hey, I would love a ride. This is who I am, da da da. And then we did a quick phone call, did a vibe check. I felt super comfortable with his energy. I'm really good at manifesting people into my life that are like good people. I truly, truly believe that vibrations attract. So like whatever you are vibrating at is going to be, you know, what comes your way. And then the third thing was that I didn't have a bicycle. And I put it on one of the Facebook groups like, hey, I'm looking to like rent a bike or buy a bike. I just didn't want to go and buy like a brand new bicycle. And I knew that there's tons of bicycles that get donated after Burning Man every year. Like last year, I actually found my bicycle at the RV park that my friend parked her RV. Like people just dump their bikes. And so the guy at the RV park ended up fixing up a bike for me and like putting a basket on it. And I was like, I know that there's a magical way for me to get a bike. Of course, I was like really would love to have an e-bike, but I just I didn't know if I was coming back to Burning Man next year. I didn't know if it was worth it for me to buy it. I didn't know where to store it, blah, blah, blah. So I just put it out on one of the groups. I was like, hey, does anyone know where I can buy or rent a bicycle? And then I had an amazing man named Lewis who reached out to me and he was like, hey, I have a couple extra bikes. Which one do you like? So we did a video call and he like let me pick my bike. And I picked this really beautiful, like maroon colored, like beach cruiser with a basket. And then he was like, I have a bunch of extra stuff that you can have, like this amazing fur coat, a cup that I really needed. And I used the whole burn. And a bunch of other things that I really needed. And so Chuck ended up picking me up, the guy from Miami. We went in his truck with a RV pulled behind, and we had the most magical 24 hours together where we drove all the way from LA to Reno. And then in Reno, oh, I love this story. So I had a girl named Sarah reach out to me on Instagram, and she was like, I have been following your podcast for multiple years. I really like your vibration. I realize my camera's in the sun, so I don't even know if you can see me, but whatever. So Sierra was like, look, I've been following you for a couple years. I've learned a lot from you. I really am inspired by what you're doing in the world. I also host play parties here in Reno. And she has a house that is kind of like a community space vibe, which is very similar to what I have on Kopanjang. And she's like, I'm having a bunch of friends come through like before the burn and after the burn for like decompression and like just as a pit stop because she lives right in Reno, which is the last main city before you go into Burning Man. And so she was like, if you ever need anything, like I'm here, you can come over, I'll feed you, you can sleep here, you can take a shower. And this is someone I don't know at all, right? So I was like, wow, that's so nice. Thank you so much for offering. I didn't know if I ever wanted to take her up on it because I didn't I didn't even know how I was getting into Burning Man. And so when we were on our way in, the lady who was going to braid my hair for Burning Man, she fell through. And I saw that Sierra on her Instagram that she did braids. And so I messaged her and I said, do you think you could braid my hair? And she was like, of course. And I was like, I don't know when we're going to get there, like maybe 10 o'clock at night or whatever. And she was like, yeah, no worries, just come. I'm going to have people coming all the way through the night, so I'll be awake. So I think we ended up getting there like at 10:30. And she like fed us. There was a ton of people there. There was someone there who was best friends with one of my best friends. And we found out because we were both talking in the kitchen. And then we FaceTimed my best friend and we were trying to convince him to come to Burning Man. And I just love the synchronicity of the universe, how it's really like vibrations attract, right? Like these are people I just met and I found out they are best friends with some of my best friends. So then naturally we all got super close. And then Sierra ended up braiding my hair. It was super epic, like better than the lady that did it last year. And I gave her a big hug, thanked her, even gave her some money just to contribute because, you know, pay it forward and all the things. And Chuck ended up taking a nap on the couch because he was driving the whole way. I have recently got my driver's license renewed, which I'm very grateful for. So I was like up for driving, except for he had a huge truck with another RV on the back. So it just wasn't like like I could have done it, but it would have been scary for me to drive that whole thing. Like it was even sketchy for him. And he's an amazing, amazing driver. So I felt super safe with him. I just know that he was putting a lot of energy into making sure that we were safe on the roads, that we could see everything. So after we leave Sierra's house, where we were going to pick up the bicycle was in Carson City at Lewis's house. And this is where it gets a little sketchy in the story because he doesn't really tell us that his driveway is like really hard to get up and down. It's like it's like a very steep driveway. And I thought, oh, okay, we can just go up and turn around. So we pull up the driveway, get the bicycle. I do a FaceTime with him. I thank him because he wasn't there. So I never have actually met Lewis in real life, even though I've done many calls with him. And I'm super grateful for him to let me borrow the bicycle. Thank you, Lewis, giving you a shout out. And then we get it back in the car. We get the bike back in the car, and then we're trying to back up. And at this point, like, we have been on the road for probably 12 hours, and we're both super tired. I know Chuck is even more tired than I am because he just flew in from Miami and then cleaned out his friend's RV that he's letting him borrow and then drove us all the way to Reno from LA. And we're trying to back up the trailer, like in the full pitch black dark. and it's like so steep and on an angle. And like let's just say like we almost like tipped the whole trailer over. It's like going downways, sideways, and I'm like, no, stop. And he's like, he can't barely hear me or see anything. And I'm like, I have my like light on from my phone. I'm trying to light the way. It was super stressful. Both of us stayed as calm as we could within the situation. I'm really proud of us. Shout out to you, Chuck, for keeping us safe. And then when we finally got it down, it took like, I don't know, a half an hour to do this one tiny little hill, but it was just like the angle of it, at any point, it could have pulled the whole truck down or flipped the RV. Both those things were very possible and probable, and I'm really proud of him for the driving skills that he was able to do. So when we finally got it down, we like pulled it forward because then we had to turn it around, and we got out of the car and we were just like hugging each other like, oh my God, we made it. Like we made it through. And then I was like, okay, you ready to do this? And we're like, yeah, let's go. So we drove all the way to Burning Man from there. And I think it took another like 2 hours to get into, they call it the line, which is like the beginning of the dirt road that takes you into Burning Man. And like the road to get there is just this tiny, like once you leave the last little town, it's like a tiny 2-lane road with like big semi trucks coming the opposite direction and like shaking the car. You know, it's like super sketchy. And then we finally get off the road onto what is the beginning of Burning Man. And then it takes, they call it the line because like they have like many lines going sideways because the road to go on to Burning Man is only a 2-lane, and they have to make sure that you don't like block traffic from people actually just trying to drive down the road. So they have people go into many lines going sideways, like 5 to 10 lines going sideways. And then those, they slowly check people in. So from the beginning of the line, like from when you first get off the dirt road to the beginning of Burning Man, it can take anywhere from a half an hour to, at some point this year, because of the rain and the storms that we experienced, some people waited on the line for 24 hours, which is just insane. And they have porta potties like throughout the way. So, and you know, most people are in their RVs, or at least they have porta potties, so you can go to the bathroom and stuff, but it's pretty intense. I think we waited, I had to stop and pick up will call tickets, which means like someone transferred me tickets. So I stopped and got them at the box office. So I think even with doing that, it took us about 2.5, 3 hours to get through the line, which is pretty good for Burning Man. I think we got there Saturday morning, and we got into Burning Man at like 6 a.m. Saturday morning. And both of us maybe had like 1 hour of sleep. I think Chuck even less because he had been going from the day before. So we got to Chuck's camp because we're in different camps. And so park his RV, meet all his friends. They're all like his camp is like mostly RVs. And I think we took a nap because it was like super hot at this point and we were both so tired. So we took a nap in the AC for like an hour or two. And then his girlfriend was flying in from Memphis, somewhere in the Midwest. I can't remember where, but she was meeting us there. And so he wanted to get the RV ready for her. I love Chuck. Can we just give a little shout out to like divine masculine energy? Like Chuck wouldn't let me pay for gas. He bought snacks for us. He even went to Costco and got me a bunch of fruit. Wouldn't let me pitch in for it. And the whole time we were driving, he was talking about how much he loves his girlfriend. And we was talking about like we were FaceTiming her, and like everything was about like how he could support making her life better. And I was telling him, I was like, I really honor who you are as a man. And I'm calling in someone like this for me. And he was like, of course you're going to find them. Like, look at who you are. And I was like, I know, but I just wanted to honor who you are. You know, like I really see you. So I feel like this whole trip at Burning Man was me like really surrendering and receiving so much from like divine masculine men who really just wanted to support and provide, and got so much energy from just making my life better in some way, like purely from bringing like happiness and joy into my life. So like Lewis provided the bicycle and the coat and the cups and all these other supplies. Phil like had all of our camping gear, even bought brand new camping gear for us. And then Chuck like brought me all the way there, took care of me, made sure I was set up. He drove me over to Phil's camp. We picked up the camping gear, brought me to my camp, made sure I was settled in. It was amazing. And then I got to my camp and I was so excited to be there. And then I couldn't find Seema, and I knew that Seema was there. Like she had driven in. Because there's something to know if you don't know this already, is there's no cell phone reception at Burning Man. Like you can maybe get it every once in a while, but most of the time it's dead. People have what they call Starlink, which is like individual hotspots of Wi-Fi. And so like that kind of works, but there is something really beautiful about like allowing yourself to be completely disconnected from the internet. Like at my camp, for my tents, like for Seema and I had this big like drawing pad that my friend had given me last week, and I was going to do art on it, and it ended up being like the notebook of like when you're at summer camp and someone's trying to leave you a note like, here, meet me at this dance floor, meet me here at this workshop. So we have like our notebook for Seema and I, and all our friends were leaving notes of like, meet me at this place, or I would write a note like, I'm going to this dance party, everyone come meet me here. And it's just beautiful because then you allow the synchronicity in. Like the main thing that I remember my friend Isa telling me last year when I was going to Burning Man for the first time, she was like, the most important thing that you can do is like get on your bicycle by yourself, set your vibration. Maybe you can call in, like what you're looking to receive. If nothing else, ask yourself like, what does the universe want me to receive right now? And get on your bicycle and like go out and see what the universe has for you. Like, okay, I have no clue if this is better, but I just like was trying to find some better lighting. Anyway, so Isa was telling me like the best thing you can do is get on your bicycle and just go and just allow the universe to give you whatever you need in that moment. Like whatever experience, whoever you're meant to meet, whatever lesson you're meant to have. And so this year, that was my like intention, was just like, I'm going to ground my energy as much as I can every morning or every time I go out, and I'm going to just allow the universe to unfold the most magical experience and have me meet all the people that are on the similar vibration, and just enjoy. Like, this is what we're here for as humans, is to like allow ourselves to flow, and that like life is serving us, like we are meant to allow ourselves to receive these magical experiences if we can get out of our head, get into our body, and follow our intuition. So this is where the story gets really funny. So, I couldn't find Seema. I wasn't really sure we were supposed to set up our camp because our camp was still building. And so I was like, okay, I'm just going to put my stuff in the kitchen area. And like I had like sweaters that I actually wanted to pack away into, like really nice sweaters I just bought in LA that I wanted to pack away into my suitcase. I had my purse that was not meant for Burning Man. It was like open purse. I had a bunch of stuff that I was like, I'm gonna secure this in my suitcase, or like deep in my tent under plastic bags or sheets. They have this thing where you cover everything that you own with a sheet because you don't know if the dust will come in when you come back. And I was like, I'm going to do all of this, but first I need to find my bike lock. And my bike lock, I think, is in Chuck's truck, which is at the camp across the Burning Man. And so I was like, okay, I'm just going to leave everything here for like an hour and go find, or even half an hour, and go find my bike lock because, I trust people at Burning Man, but it's really important to lock your bike up, like safety first. And they have this expression at Burning Man, safety third. But when it comes to bike locks, I think it's like safety first, like lock your shit up. So I got on my bicycle, I bicycled over, and almost immediately from when I got to Chuck's camp, the biggest dust storm that I have ever experienced in my life started. And if Chuck ever sends me this video, I'm going to put it in here where it's like us walking out of his RV, because at first we were like, let's go out of the RV and go into his friend's RV, which is bigger, and we'll all hang out there. But on our way over to that, Chuck starts noticing that all of the structures, like all the metal poles that are holding down their like living room area of where they have their dance parties, where all the metal things were literally bending sideways. The metal was bending sideways. This is how windy it was. I don't know what it is in like 50-mile-an-hour winds, 100-mile-an-hour winds, whatever. I'm more in kilometers now that I've been outside the States for so long. But I just want to give you a reference point that like metal was bending sideways. This is like how intense it is, or it was. And we had only been there for like half a day. So it was like, I didn't even set up my structure. Anyways, so we just run. So I run into the RV and there's all these guys in there of the main RV of the camp lead. And I'm like, you guys, they need your help. So all the guys run outside. They tell us women to stay inside, which I appreciate because it was pretty dangerous. There was like metal things just flying sideways. Like anything that wasn't tied down was like being flown around. And so we just hunkered down in there. And even in the RV, it was like the wind was blowing so hard that, so they have this thing where you tape the RV windows around the edges with duct tape, because even though it's sealed, sometimes the dust can get in. But even with that, like there was still like dust just flying through the RV. And so we were just like sitting there with our air masks on, just trying to survive. But you know, I got a blanket. I was getting cozy because I only had 1 hour's sleep, and I was like surrendered again. I was like, I don't know what's happening. And then finally, so they got all the structure down that they could. I found out later that like most of the camp structures like fell over or bent sideways to the point where they weren't able to rebuild. So it was like a lot of damage. People had just set up their camps, and you know, we were all going through it. At this point, it starts getting dusk, and there was rumors that it was going to start raining, and I was like, oh my gosh, I want to get to my camp because Seema's probably there. She doesn't know where the camping gear is. Also, I realized all of my stuff is just out in the open in the kitchen, and so I need to go home. So I put on my headlamp. I like put on my face mask again, and I'm like, okay, I'm going for it. And then I start bicycling, and it probably takes me 15-20 minutes to get to my camp. And I would say that every single city block, so like Burning Man's set up in kind of like this U, and it goes like an actual clock. Like the streets go like from 2 to 10 o'clock. So it's like 2, 3, 4, 5. And then when you're going outwards, like farther away from the main playa area, it goes A, B, C, D. So I was going like from 2 o'clock, and I think my camp was at 6 o'clock. And every block, like, you know, like the second block or the 3rd street or the 4th street, there was a huge party. I just loved it. Like everyone was like trying to survive, trying to make sure their camps were okay. And then like, they're like, okay, the dust has settled. Let's let's thrive, you know, like let's like really party. And so there was just like, the music was coming on. People were getting down and dirty and dancing, and like everyone's just covered in dust. And I get to my block, and so my area is all of the Tantra camps. I was at Dark Heart, which is a main Tantra camp there. And they had the Static Dance, which is like 5 Rhythms camp. They were right across the street from us. And so they put on like an epic dance party. Their camp wasn't even fully set up yet, but they were like, we're going for it. And I get in there and I find Seema in there, and she's dancing. I'm like, Seema! And she's like, oh my God! So it's the first time we've seen each other in like 2 years. And so we hug it out. I ran into a bunch of my other friends, and then I go to check on my stuff in my camp, and like there was like handfuls of just dust coming out of my purse because my purse was open, right? So it's just like piles of dust just across my passport, my brand new like Gucci wallet, like everything is just covered in dust. And I have a brand new Juicy Couture suitcase I just gotten, and it was zipped up, but like inside for about an inch, anything that was within 1 inch of the zipper, it was just completely covered in dust inside. And a lot of this stuff was things that I didn't even want to wear at Burning Man. I was going to wear at the after parties when I got out of the dust. And so I was just like, surrender. Like, I'm so happy I didn't bring my laptop out here. My brand new, they're not brand new, but they're my Boise headphones that I wear like every single second I'm alone because I have a high noise sensitivity. They were also just completely caked in dust, and now they're starting to make weird sounds, like sparky sounds. So I think I'm going to have to buy some new ones, sacrifice those to the dust. And then like the thing that made me the saddest was like this brand new sweater I just gotten with my friend Sasha. There's a whole story behind this sweater because when we went to go buy it, his car got towed in San Francisco or in LA. So we joke because I bought the sweater for $30, so we had to pay $340 for the towing. I got them down from $500, but we joke that this is like a very expensive sweater. So the sweater now costs like $370, and I was not gonna wear it at Burning Man. It's like brand new, and it's it's like white and like cozy, and I was so excited to wear it like outside of Burning Man. Anyways, that I couldn't find it anywhere, and I found it like under a pile of dirt, like just like pulled it up, and there was just like so much dirt, and it was no longer white, and I was just like, I surrender. Okay, what's happening? And so I go back over and I keep dancing, and I'm vibing. And I just look around and everyone's just being their weirdly wonderful selves. And I was like, this is Burning Man. Like, this is why I'm here. Like, we just survived the most craziest dust storm that even people who have been there for 20 years had never experienced. Everyone's camps, they have to rebuild. We're happy we didn't even set up our tent yet because it would have gotten blown away. And everyone's just like vibing. They're just like streaked in dirt and just like dancing and like connecting, laughing, crying. Like, it's just like the whole spectrum of things were happening. I was just sitting there on a cushion, like eating a smoothie from our fridge. They'd made these pre-made smoothies, and for some reason it was super chunky, and so we were like trying to drink it and like, getting smoothie down our face, and I was just like, I don't even care. And then someone said, oh, Naked Heart, which is one of the other tantra camps right next door, they're offering dinner to everyone in the neighborhood because most of our kitchens got blown away. So we go over to Naked Heart, like a whole group of my friends, and they have like shipping containers full of like fresh lettuce and curry and like amazing rice and lentils. All of it's vegan and like super yummy. And it's inside of this one of their main event tents, but just covered with like Moroccan rugs and cushions, and everything looks lush. And I'm like, did you guys just have a dust storm? Because everything in here looks perfect. And like, how did this happen? It's so funny about Burning Man, because like you go around a corner and there's something completely new happening, as if you're in a completely different dimension, and you're just like, how did I get here? But it's also magical. I accept this reality. So that's what was happening. So we ate dinner, met a bunch of new people, connected. And then later that night, it starts raining. And I hadn't even set up my tent yet. No, I think we did set up our tent, because we were like, we don't know what's going to happen next, and we might as well get all our stuff in there. So Seema and I set up the tent at nighttime that day, and I was just so tired. And so we did sleep in the tent that night. The next day, it's Sunday, and Burning Man doesn't officially open until like all the camps don't start offering their stuff until Monday. So we helped our camp set up. I think I went and found a bunch of new friends, or like whatever. I was like, I don't even remember what I did on Sunday, but I just remember that night there was another crazy dust storm. And I just ran into the nearest RV that I could find, which is Daniel's RV, which is the property I'm on right now, who was supposed to rent me the yurt. And I had feelings towards Daniel in a negative way. I was doing my best. I just knew that I needed to have a conversation with him about it. I was just like, because I felt like the way it went down, it could have been handled better. And I also honor that he was really stressed out with work stuff, bringing out the art card, bringing out a bunch of stuff for other people. He didn't know me yet, blah, blah, blah. But it was like, the agreement of what we were gonna do, of how to get the art cart or the yurt out, the sleeping structure out, kept shifting, and I was sick. And so anyways, I just run into his RV. I didn't even know whose RV it was, because like the wind was coming again and the dust, and I was just like, can I take shelter in here? Which is a very normal thing to do at Burning Man, like to take shelter in people's RVs when it's dusty. And he was like, yeah, sure. And he's like, you know that I'm Daniel, right? And I was like, oh. So then it clicked, and I was like, oh yeah, yeah. And then he was like, I want to have a conversation with you about what happened with the yurt, and I want to say I'm sorry for how it went down. And I was like, you know what? I really honor that, because I also wanted to have a conversation with you. I'm not someone that lets things like fester in the field, because basically if you don't speak it out, it's there in the energetic field between both of you. And so I was like, I was already going to bring it up, but it makes me feel really good that you brought it up. Very divine masculine energy of you. And then he was just like, yeah, you can hang out here if you need to. And then it starts raining, and he was like, if you want to spend the night here. And then my friend Wolf is one of Daniel's good friends, and came out with him. And Wolf and I know each other from lockdown in Kopanjang, so he's like Kopanjang family. So the three of us ended up spending the night in Daniel's RV, and listening to shamanic music and cuddling and taking a little bit of something that made us feel very psychedelic. And it was just very beautiful. And I felt like like it actually, what's interesting about the rain? It rained Sunday night and Tuesday night of the burn this year. And both nights I really needed to sleep. If it wasn't raining, I would have gone out. I would have gone to play, because the FOMO would have kicked. But because there was nothing to do, I had to rest. And it really helped me because like up until this point on Sunday, I had only gotten a couple hours of sleep. And so that was so beautiful, connected with Daniel, you know, and I shared with him how I'm really calling in my life partner. And we all were sharing about our intentions for the burn. And it was just like really nice. And then woke up like super rested Tuesday morning. And I hosted like 5 things this year at Burning Man. One of them I assisted on it's called Sacred Fundamentals, which was basically like boundaries and consent and different tools. And then I ended up teaching one of those. And then I hosted like a couple play parties and then also assisted at other things. But I was really grateful that I was able to host my vanilla play parties. And we had like 80 people or more in basically as many as we could fit. And we had to turn away like 100 more because I had shared about it on the Facebook groups. I'd put it on the Burning Man radio. If you don't know, there's a Burning Man radio, which is really epic because when you get on the playa, it's like all of the advertisements. So like, you know, when there's commercials, the commercials are for you to come to the camps and try things because everything at Burning Man's free once you get in. So they're like advertising for you to come have a grilled cheese sandwich or some mojitos or come get a massage. But I just love like all the commercials are inviting you to come join in and receive things for free. So I put it on the radio and stuff. So anyways, and it was just really nice because I felt like my intention to going into Burning Man was to share my gifts with Burning Man and like everyone there, which was like my vanilla play parties, the different offerings of like tantra things that I can like holding safe spaces or safer spaces. And that was 100% mission accomplished. And then my other intention was to flow and just really allow myself to receive and to have the most beautiful love stories that were available. And I definitely had that. I'll share about that later. And the third thing was like, I am super open to receiving my life partner in my life. So this was like an intention where I was like, if it's flowing and it's meant to happen, I'm here for it. And also it's a very, how do I put it? It's like a delicate thing because you don't want to put expectations on it. Like I need to meet my life partner by this day. Not saying I didn't do that, but I'm trying my best to like, you know, be open to whatever the universe provides. And so Monday night, Daniel was taking our car out and I wanted to go see him, but I ended up connecting with a friend first and doing rape and having a beautiful experience with one lover of mine. And then I bicycled back to the camp and like just missed our car. So I was like, okay, I'm going to go out. I'm manifesting I find them and whatever else is meant to find me on the way will do. And so I'm just trying to find I cannot tell if the light is working or not, but we're just flowing with it. So one of the guys who was new to the camp, he just arrived because of the rain, like they just lock the gates. Like you can't come in because it's like too muddy. It's dangerous. You can't see anything anyway. So some people waited on the line for like over 24 hours. That's also why I always listen to my intuition. My intuition was like, get inside. And I was so happy I was inside. I was tucked away. I was safe. You know, I had the support that I needed. And my burn started, you know, like a lot of people waited, like they missed multiple days of the burn just trying to get in. Anyway, so one of these guys who was new in our camp, his name's Lucas. He's from Austria and super sweet soul. I really enjoyed him. I really appreciated his support through hosting the play parties. He was very divine masculine, like making sure people, you know, like guarding the door basically because we had so many people trying to get in. But that was the first night he got there, and I offered for him to come on the adventure with me because I was like, I'm going to go find the art car, and if you want to come with me, you're welcome to. And like, so he comes with me, and I told him, I said, it's your first burn, so if there's anything that you want to stop at, like, let me know, and we will stop. And so pretty soon after we started bicycling, he was like, I want to stop at this dome thing. And it's basically like a dome where on the inside it lights up and with all these beautiful colors, and they're playing like kind of psychedelic indie music. And there's all these cushions. So people are laying down. Some people are making out. One person was like this guy was fingering his girlfriend or something. I don't know. There was a lot of things happening. Burning Man is very free. So it's like whatever. And so we lay down and I was inviting him to share his intentions for the burn. I was sharing mine. And then like suddenly I hear someone say, Brittnee? and I look over and it's my friend Augusto, who I haven't seen in like years. We went through lockdown on the island together. Our timelines, like our lives merge at very specific points that are meaningful, like very meaningful for both of us. And then we don't see each other for like a year or two. So he comes over and we're like, oh my God, hi. And so we're talking. And then my friend Lucas is like, I want to keep traveling on. Like, you guys enjoy yourselves. So he goes. And then Augusto and I end up spending the next 12 hours together, just following one party to the next, all the way out to the Deep Playa and like seeing sunrise, like over the desert with like thousands of people as like the best music is playing. Like Monolink was playing at one point, and then other amazing DJs, like some Japanese DJ that he was really excited for. And he has an Excel spreadsheet of his favorite DJs and parties that are happening. And I was like, of course you have an Excel spreadsheet. This is so funny. And he was like, I didn't make it. My friend made it. So some people are very into this stuff. And I was like down for the journey and the adventure. And so we go to some of the best, like just like little underground parties with like tons of people with amazing energy. Everyone's so excited. Everyone's dancing, hugging each other. And I'm like right up at the front with Augusto. We're like dancing and vibing, and then we like look at each other, and then he like kisses me, and I was like, and then we end up like making out the whole night. And I will tell you, we were completely sober for these 12 hours of adventuring. And people were coming up to us and being like, you guys' energy is so amazing. And this one guy was like, you guys are such a cute couple. And I told him, this is the first time we kissed. Like, you witnessed our first kiss. And he was like, what? I thought you guys were together forever. And he's like, now you need to get engaged. You need to get married on the playa. And Augusto and I are just laughing. Like, I guess we should get married now. And then it was just so fun because I felt like we were both following our own flow. And our flows just happened to, for this one night, it's the only night we ended up hanging out at the burn, completely go together and completely merge. And it was just like, we were just having the best time. And then later on, this is what I find fascinating. We ended up being at the Man, which is like the statue in the middle of Burning Man that they burn at the end of the week. We ended up going there at sunrise and like sitting on some couches and watching the sunrise together. And Augusto tells me, you know, that wasn't the first time we kissed. And I'm like, what? He's like 5 years ago, we were taking acid on Wainam, which is like our secret little beach on the other side of the island of Koh Phangan. And I had a bungalow, and I invited you to my bungalow, and was offering me some other substances. And I was like, no, I'm good. I'm going to go back to the party. And then he ended up kissing. We made out like 5 years ago. I completely forgot this. I don't know what that means, but I always had this vibe with Augusto that I thought that he was cute. He is very cute. There's something about him and his Italianness. Like, he's never lost his accent. Like, he's a very strong Italian accent, and he's like a very deep voice that I find very attractive. And just like, he's a Libra, and at the same time, he's very grounded. And I really appreciate that about him. Like, it's like the way he touches me and like holds the energy, holds the space. So yeah, I don't know why I forgot that we had made out, but I was happy to reconnect and have a whole new love story together. And this is also was my intention at Burning Man, was like, I'm not holding myself to one person. So like, just because Augusto and I had this really nice night together, like, I'm not like, it's kind of a thing at Burning Man where you can have this beautiful experience with someone and then you like literally never see them again. Like with Augusto, I know I'm going to see him again. It's just more of like, I'm not attached to it being at Burning Man. Like, we're family. Like, if you've gone through lockdown on Koh Phangan together, there's kind of this soul family energy that we all have. So he's part of my extended soul family, and I'm really grateful for that. And then we wanted to sleep in the same bed and just cuddle, but both of us were sharing sleeping spaces with other people. Like, he was sharing a yurt with the friends, and their AC wasn't even set up, so it was going to be super hot. I had a tent with Seema, but it was like, at this point, like, once it gets to be past like 10 or 11, it's too hot to be in a tent or a yurt without an AC. So I was just going to go back, and what I ended up doing was going back and sleeping in Daniel's RV with the AC, and he ended up going and staying with a friend. And I saw Augusto one more time randomly in the street, and we had a little makeout session, and he was going to make pizza for his camp or something. Anyways, I never saw him after that. But I'm grateful for you, Augusto. I'm happy you're in my life. And I have more juicy love stories. The main man that I connected with, I put him on my Instagram very mysteriously. Didn't tag him in a way that you could know. But I am excited to share about him in the next podcast. But I really have to go to the bathroom, and this is getting long. So I just want you to know that I survived Burning Man. I thrived at Burning Man. I'm going to share another podcast about more things I learned. There's like so many epic stories and so much synchronicity. And the main thing that I wanted to reframe or re-emphasize is that I feel completely on path. Like the whole time I was like, I am on the journey that I'm meant to be on. And I am following the reason why I know this is because I was following my intuition the entire time. I felt so in flow. I felt so excited. And of course, there was like some moments where I was like, what's happening? Like when the dust storm is hitting, or, when I'm just so tired and I can't feel my body anymore. And then I'm like, okay, I need to go to sleep so I can feel my body. But, every time I went out on my bicycle, I was like, what magical experiences does the universe have in store for me today? And I'm sharing this with you because if you get in your car, get on your scooter, go outside of your house, and you set your intention in the same mindset of what magical experiences does the universe have in store for me today? I promise you that magic will happen. That like we deserve to expect magic to unfold into our life. And when you expect it and you look for it and you co-create it, it's always going to happen. And it's probably going to be even more magical than your physical mind can come up with. Okay, that's it for now. I'm sending you guys all lots of love, and I hope you have a beautiful day.